You know, ladies and gentlemen, the title says it below. I think you can see the title below. It's asking, what would you like to see in a possible Mario Kart Wii U game? That's right. We all know it's eventually going to happen, if it's not already in the planning stages. But here's the thing. What would you like to see in Mario Kart Wii U if it does happen? And again, like I said, it's obvious it will. Because let's take a look at what's going on. When the Wii came out, one of the most popular Mario titles in history was the Mario Kart series. Started back, I think, with the Super Nintendo, maybe the NES, I'm not really sure. But it started then, all the way at that time frame, and it evolved throughout time. With every system, there's always been a Mario Kart game, as far as I know. Even the portable systems have had access to a Mario Kart game. But with the Wii U now out, the question is, what would you like to see in this possible release? And like I said, which is inevitable because it's Mario, it's Nintendo, and it's bound to happen. So my question to you is, what would you like to see in there, and what would you like to see taken out? That's what it says right there. What would you like to see in and taken out of possible Mario Kart Wii U? My own personal preference, I don't play it as much as I should, but I'm getting back into it a little bit so I can kind of, pass the levels, get better at it. Especially now that I'm learning, especially now that I've learned to use the nunchuck Wii control or Wii remote combination instead of just relying on the classic or GameCube controllers and the wheel and whatever. But here's the question. What would you like to be taken out? What would you like to see in? My personal preference, like I said, even though I don't play it as much as, let's say, my 9-year-old nephew, or even possibly down the line my 5-year-old nephew, or even as much as my 17-year-old nephew did, or has. Here's the thing. What would I like to see taken out? Well, obviously, I think anybody would agree with me on this, and I know some may agree, may not. But personally, I'd like to have Rainbow Road taken out. Or at least modified and fixed to where it's not so, tricky for anybody. I mean, even those that have played it a long time and have somewhat mastered it, if not totally mastered it, can sometimes have trouble with Rainbow Road. I mean, let's face it. You're trying to turn this way and this way and that and this and that, and you don't know where you're going to end up. If you're going to land on a track or you're going to fall down and burn in the atmosphere. So my honest opinion, I would like to see Rainbow Road taken out or at least modified to where it's not as tricky and it's not, as unpredictable as it is. I know there's other racetracks on this game that I have yet played on, that I've yet had a character race on, that might be trickier and all that. I get that. On the Wii version, that is. But me personally, when it comes to the Wii U, I think Rainbow Road, either take it out or modify it to where at least it's not as troublesome to me, to others out there, and even to those that have probably mastered it. Make it modified, make it a little bit more easier for people like me to play. I'm not saying I haven't finished in the top 5 in it. I have, but the thing is, it's hard. It's really hard because you don't know where, like I said, you don't know if you're going to fall off and go into the atmosphere. Sorry about that. I was looking at my dog, seeing what she was looking at outside. And drinking some coffee. Now, another thing I would like to see taken out, honestly, I know this may sound crazy to some people, this is just a personal preference that I'd like to see taken out. But I would like to see that damn cloud taken out. because it's annoying. Anytime you choose it, it's on you. It's supposed to increase your speed, it does, but then it shrinks you. It's annoying until you pass it on to somebody else. I'd just like to see that taken out, just not for my benefit, but for anybody else's benefit, because it is annoying. Another thing I'd like to see taken out is the damn red shells. I mean, I understand those are like homing shells, and unless you're jumping over a cliff before it hits you, you're going to get hit no matter what. So I'd like to see those red shells be taken out. You know. So those are just some preferences I'd like to see taken out, or at least modified and worked on. Because when you think about it, there are other things that I could probably think of that annoy people. They really do. In fact, if I was to say one thing I'd like to see improved on, if you will, is widen the tracks a little bit more, so you don't constantly have people either online, when you're playing online, or you have the characters themselves bumping into you and knocking you into a pit or something. Heck, I'd even like to see something improved on to like when you cross, like let's say you're the first one to cross the finish line and you're in first place, right? I'd like to see this improved on, that when you cross the finish line, that any items that are shot at you, whether it's red shells or they're still kept, or whatever, rain clouds, whatever you want to call it, the ink guys, doesn't matter. I'd like to see those pretty much as soon as you're the first one that crosses the finish line, have those kind of just break up right after you finish. That way it doesn't touch you. Okay, basically it's like basically like when you're crossing the finish line, anything that's following you after you cross just disintegrates, just blows up or something like that. I don't know. But I'd like to see that happen. I'd like to see them improve on that. Now, another thing I'd like to see them improve on is, and you know what, I pretty much should just retitle this, what you want to see in, improved, and out. What you want in Mario Kart Wii U, what you want to see improved, and what you want out. But quite honestly, I would like to see, and this is just my honest opinion as being improved, I'd like to see something improved, because I think it's a bit of a disadvantage sometimes, you know. And this is something I think should be beneficial, should be given to the last place, the second, kind of like the last four, if you will, or last three, if you will, as well as the very first person. Sorry about that, folks. My dog wanted in, she wants out, she wants in. I don't know why. But anyway, this is one thing that I think should be given as a benefit to the first placer as well. And I know it sounds selfish when this comes out, but I think what you need to do, because I understand when you give it to the last 3 to 4 people in the race, the last, you know, like the last 4 people, you know, like the last place person, the second to last place person, the third place, the fourth, you know, kind of like the 9th place, 10th place, 11th place, and all that, and 12th place. But I'd like to see this improved on, and make it sort of like a benefit, if you will, for even the first place person. Like after maybe the second lap and they're still in first place, let them have it. And I'm talking about the Bullet Bob, or Bullet Bill. I mean, again, I understand that that's placed in there for those in the very last spots, for them to catch up and try to get into first place. Give them sort of like a, I guess as it's called in, I guess as they call it in the Mario Party games, charity chump change, if you will, or charity chump change, or whatever you call it. Give them one last shot. But to me, I think what they need to improve, and I'd like to see this improved and put into the game, is allow the first place person after 2 laps, or whatever, let them have that ability so they can increase their lead, and then it makes it a little bit more challenging for others to try to catch up. I mean, they don't have to be like when you have the Bullet Bill, it doesn't have to be like, okay, you're in 12th place, and suddenly the Bullet Bill shoots you up into almost 4th or 5th or 4th or 3rd place. No, just something that lets you get maybe a few yards ahead. Like, okay, Like, okay, you could be like right here, like here's the second placer, you're right here, and you got a pretty good range, right? The bullet bill, in my opinion, would let you just go a little bit more like that, just by maybe by a few feet, or something like that. You know, kind of like go from here to about here, and it's not that much of a difference. It would just cause that person to want to catch up. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I think needs to be improved on, if not added into the game, as selfish as that may sound. Another thing I would like to see, and you may call me crazy for this, the winged blue shells. You know, those blue shells that are locked on are basically the homing devices that are sent towards the person in very first place, that's in first place, and basically blows them up and gives the last place person, as well as anybody else behind them, a chance to catch up. This is what I would like to see. I'd like to see, as crazy as it sounds, I'd like to see the last 5 people have that. Maybe that's already happening, but as far as I know, it's like from what I've read, it's like the last person or somebody has it. But I'd like to see, give a benefit to the last 5. And don't just target the first person. This is what I think they need to do. I'd like to see this put in as well as improved on. Give the winged blue shell to like the last 5 people, maybe the last 3, and let them target the top 3. That's what I'm thinking. Top 3 or top 5. Allow them to target those people. Okay. Let's make it even better. Let's make it a little more easier. Do the last 3 and let them target the top 3. Like, let's say you're playing as Mario and Mario's in first place. And the other person's playing as Peach and she's in second and Daisy's in third. Allow whoever's like in the last 3 spots to target those 3, so that them and the other players, the 4th and 5th, and then those behind them, the 6th and 7th and 8th, can have a shot to get ahead, or at least have a better opportunity to win. And I think that would be great. Now, another thing I would like to see improved, in fact I'd like to see this placed into the games and improved on, if you will, is expanding, speaking of the racers, go from 12 to 14. I mean, you got a newer system, you got, a lot of things improved. Go to at least 14, add 2 more, heck, go to 16 if you have to, racers. That way you can have a big race, and you have a whole library of characters you can use. And this is another thing I'd like to see happen, because it's happened in a lot of games. Let a lot of the characters that you've had to unlock before, in previous Mario Kart games, let them be, usable right off the bat. Yeah, let them be playable right off the bat. I mean, for example, have characters like Rosalinda, or whatever her name is, Toadette, Bowser Jr., Dry Bones, the Hammer Brothers. Let them all basically be usable and playable right off the bat. Daisy, let her be usable and playable right off the bat in the Mario Kart games. Because that would really help people out. That would give them more choices. And you have a whole library, from what I'm saying. Expand on that library. Take a page out of, let's say, Smash Brothers, if you have to. I mean, you already have Donkey Kong in there, and Diddy Kong. Bring in Trixie Kong. Bring in Trixie. Bring in Candy. Bring in Tiny. Whatever you want to call it. Bring them in. That'll be something. Heck, you can go with Zelda. Bring in Zelda. Bring in Link. I mean, you can expand on them. That's what I'm saying. You can expand. I mean, heck, if you want to go as far, take a page out of your Smash Brothers series, bring in Captain Falcon, use one of his racetracks. Bring in Sonic if you have to. Bring in Kid Icarus. I mean, you have so much at your disposal